Hi everyone, welcome to the Honeybee Nuts podcast channel. My name is Melissa and I'm coming to you from about 45 minutes north of Cincinnati, where I live with my husband, our 2 cats, and lots of yarn. Today is Tuesday, July 31st, and it's a beautiful afternoon here in Southwest Ohio. It rained a little bit this morning, but the temperatures have dropped a little bit, so it's not too hot, not too cold. And I'm just really enjoying the weather, and it's putting me in a major fall mood. I'm ready for fall. So today's episode is not a full episode, it is actually a review. So if you are looking forward to one of my normal episodes, you will be able to see that this weekend. I plan to record on Thursday. You can see a big box of stuff down here, and I have a ton of stuff to show, so it's going to be a very long episode. But for today, I am just going to be sharing a review that I did. I was contacted by Kramer Yarns and asked if I would like to review some of their new roving that they came out with. And I said, of course. So before I go any further, I want to let you know I am not paid by Kramer Yarns for my review. They just simply let me pick some out and sent it to me, and I spun it up. So first off, their new line of roving is called Mauch Chunky Roving, and it's M-A-U-C-H. The fiber that they sent me is 100% U.S. sourced wool, and if you would like to see it in its fiber form, you can check out my last podcast where I showed the big box of wool that they sent me. So today I'm actually going to be showing you a finished product, and by finished I mean I have spun it into a single, but I have big plans for it, which I'll let you know at the end. So when they first contacted me, they asked me to pick out a color or a sample box, and me being me and being indecisive, I knew that I wouldn't be able to choose one color, so I picked the sample box, which is 8 ounces of 100% US sourced wool. It comes with 20 of the most popular colors that they offer. This roving can be used for either felting, wet felting, or spinning, and as you know, I'm a spinner, so I am a spinner, as in I'm not great, I'm still learning, still new, and so I chose to spin up the wool. So before I show you, I wanted to let you know that the idea for coordinating the colors so that I could actually make a productive product out of it came from Yarn Hoarder, and most of you know, if you're watching my podcast, you've watched her podcast. If you haven't, you need to go check her out. She's fantastic. She has a lot of knowledge. She cranks out projects like crazy. She's always very informative. So make sure that if you haven't already, check out her podcast. But she was spinning for Tour de Fleece this month, and she had a mini bat set, and she spun each of those individually and then plied them with a contrasting color so that she could make one big project. So that's what I plan to do. So if you saw my last podcast, you saw that I had these. They're supposed to be 10 grams of roving. And my plan was to organize them from lightest to darkest, which ended up kind of going out the window as I got going. I was just kind of picking the ones that I like to go next. And so they're not exactly in order, but that's okay because the project that I want to make does not require it to be in order. So I procrastinated on spinning this, and it was not because I didn't want to work with the fiber. I was really excited to do the spinning project, but it's a very large project, and I also took on the task of doing a sweater knitting race this month. So if you want more information on that, you can watch my last podcast, and then I'll have more info in the podcast that I'm going to be recording later on this week. But because of that and family, I've been busy with family, I've been busy with the shop, so because of that, I spent a lot of time procrastinating and putting off the spinning. Well, my review was due today, and I wanted to get it out there into the world on time, so I sat down yesterday after work and I spun all night. And I don't think I have ever spun something so fast in my life. The fiber prep on this wool is amazing. And I honestly, because I knew I was doing a review on it, I wanted to really look at it with a critical eye, whereas a lot of times, you guys know me, if you watch my podcast, I spend a lot of time looking at something because of the way it looks. It's pretty, it's sparkly. That's how I choose my projects. For this project, I knew I was going to be reviewing it, so I was trying to keep in mind the things that I liked about spinning it and the things that I didn't like about spinning it. And I can honestly tell you there was nothing that I didn't like about this project. It was so much fun. It was so quick. I spun 200 grams of yarn in 7 hours, which if you know me, it normally takes me 7 hours just to spin 50 grams of yarn. So to spin that much yarn in that much time. The fiber prep on this was amazing. It was just pulling into my wheel. I barely did any drafting. It pretty much drafted itself. So if you're a spinner and you know what all these terms mean, then I highly, highly encourage you to go check out this wool. Another thing for me, and I promise I'm going to show it in a minute, but I wanted to get all of this out before I showed the final product. Another thing is, one of my biggest goals has been to spin a sweater quantity worth of yarn. And I've spent a lot of time at fiber festivals looking for that amount of fiber, but what I'm finding is that if I want to do that I need to buy a fleece, which means I have to wash it and card it, and it's just a lot of work to do. And I don't want to do that. So if you are like me and you want to spin a sweater quantity's worth of yarn, but you don't want to do all the prep work, you want all that done for you, then you need to check out this roving. It is amazing. I think that it's called Mauch Chunky because they come in these chunky strands of fiber. And you can spin it chunky, you can spin it thin. I chose to spin mine a light fingering weight because, and I'll tell you after I show you what I plan to do with this. But like I said before, I try to organize my colors from lightest to darkest so that it has sort of a self-striping effect. So here it is all spun up. So I was able to spin all 20 colors yesterday, and it's on my nitty naughty resting because I'm trying to set the twist on it before I take it off to ply it. So unfortunately I don't have it in skein form to really show off the colors, but I promise you by my next podcast, not the one I'm recording this week, but the following one, I will have this at least in a cake or a skein so that I can show you all of the different colors. But I will do my best to show you. It actually made, I'm a beginner spinner, and guys, look at the consistency on this. All of my strands are very similar. They're very, it's definitely a light fingering. If I wanted to, I could knit this up as a single yarn, and look at all those colors. There's purple, and like I said, I showed the box in my last podcast, but if you want to see all the colors, but I have like this light seafoamy green, there's yellows and oranges and dark greens and pinks and purples and reds and blues and blacks and grays, and just every color is in this sample box. And I'm trying to spread it open to show you more colors, but I think you guys kind of get the idea. But I was able to spin this so consistently because of the fiber prep of this yarn. I basically had to do no drafting. It pulled itself onto my wheel. I didn't, oh, look at those pinks and oranges and yellows. I didn't have to do a whole lot of work with this at all. So I'm just really happy with it. Look at this pink in the back right here. Sorry guys, I know I'm trying to work this with the camera, but I basically had to do no fiber prep at all. And as I was spinning, I was realizing it felt like it was taking me longer and longer to spin one color. So I started weighing them, and what I realized is while they are advertised as being 10-ounce rovings, when you purchase them, there's 20 colors and each one is 10 ounces. Some of them were actually 12 to 15 ounces. So this skein of yarn is, as a single, it equals over 200 grams, which is equal to 2 100-gram skeins of fingering weight yarn. So I'm so excited. I believe there to be probably, if I had to guess, I would guess that there are at least 800 yards just in this. But so now I want to tell you guys what I plan to make with it. So Kramer Yarns not only offers the sample box, but they obviously offer each of the different colors in different weight increments. So I decided that I could ply these together and have 400 yards of DK weight, or I could purchase more on my own of the Mauch Chunky Roving in a neutral color and ply it and spin that up, and then ply what I've already spun with that and make a bigger project, an 800 yard project. So that's what I did. So I purchased 1 pound of their roving in their white colorway. It's not natural. I believe it's white. Let me look. It's called Water Chestnut. So I believe there is some color in here. This is not the way it looks when it comes off the yarn. There's like a vanilla-y kind of yellowish tone to it, which is perfect. So I'm going to spin up 8 ounces of this, and I paid, I think, and I don't know, I can't remember exactly how much I paid for this, but I believe I paid less than $28 with shipping. So I think this cost $20 or $22 for 1 pound of roving, which is insane. That's a fantastic price. It's 100% US wool. And I'm going to spin up 8 ounces of this and ply it with this. My plan is I would really love to make a hand spun sweater. That's my goal. To do that, this is not enough for me. For me, I need 500, that's a lot. I need 5 skeins of fingering weight yarn to make a full sweater. This is gonna end up, when I ply it, being close to a DK, either a heavy fingering or a light DK yarn. So, I know that 800 yards is not gonna get me a full sweater. It could potentially get me a full, like kind of shirt, like t-shirt, if I had contrasting, like if I did this plied with itself for accents along the cuffs and the cuffs, the collar, and the hem. But the more I look at this and the more I love it, the more I want a full sweater out of it. So I'm considering purchasing on my own another sample box to spin up. And what I'll do is I will divide each of the rovings that you get into 4s so that I can spin up small strips at a time and ply it with this for the sleeves so that I can semi-try to match. Or maybe I won't worry about it and I'll just have some chunky stripes on the sleeves. So we'll see what happens. I'm not sure what I want to do yet, but I definitely want this to be a sweater. So I think my next project, or my next step in the process for this, is to go ahead and spin up 8 ounces of this and ply it with this, and then find out for sure how many yards I have so I can figure out where I want to go from there, try to find a pattern that I want, and then either purchase another sample box or spin more of this to make a full sweater project. Originally, when they contacted me, they asked me what I would be interested in making with this, and I said sport weight socks, but there was so much yardage here, I could probably make 4 pairs of socks, maybe even 5 with this. I will say that this is so one thing to caution on, it's not a negative, But one thing to caution you on is this is a toothier wool. It is 100% US wool. There's no nylon, there's no silk, there's no cashmere. So if you are not used to having a toothier wool next to, it may not feel as great right next to your skin. You may want to consider, like if you're going to make a hat or something around your neck, you might want to consider knitting it with a softer yarn on the inside. Otherwise, some people who are sensitive to certain wools may get a little bit itchy from it. It is very, very toothy, but that also means it's going to be hard wearing, it's going to last long, and it's going to make a very warm garment. So I'm really looking forward to working more on this project. Thank you so much to Kramer Yarns for sending me the sample box and letting me experience some of this and adding to my yarn / fiber addiction. I was so thrilled to be able to partner with them to do a review, and I look forward to showing you guys the finished project in one of my future podcasts. In addition, the one thing that I will say is that when I received the box, there were only a couple colors that I really liked, but as I spun them up, I really saw how the colors changed, and they actually evolved into colors that I love. So for example, this in the roving form does not look that seafoamy green, because what happens is they blend the colored wool with a lighter wool, so it has this heathered tone. So if you're looking to spend some heathered tonal colors, then this yarn is definitely for you. And I'm wondering if I can show an example of the heathered tones. I don't know if you can tell, but most of these colors all have that heathered look to them, which is perfect because I'm a dyer myself, and I've had requests for some heather tones from friends and family, my husband in particular, and then one of my knitting friends, and I don't know how to dye heathered tones. So it looks like one of the best ways to get a heather tone, if you're looking for it, is to actually spin it with a lighter color. So blend it with a lighter color. So that's what they've done. But yeah, it's just gorgeous, and I really love it, and I definitely recommend them if you're a spinner. So I have a vlog that I took to show you guys kind of the spinning process that I will add to the end of this video. But other than that, that's all for me today. I hope you enjoyed this review. I look forward to bringing you more reviews in the future, and I also cannot wait to podcast this week so I can show you all the things that I've been working on. There's been so much going on, so many acquisitions, so much knitting, there's spinning. So I can't wait to record a longer podcast later on this week so that I can share all of that with you. But thank you guys so much for joining, and I can't wait to see you later this week. Have a great week. Bye. Okay, I finally procrastinated long enough and started spinning this fiber, and it's going to be, when I apply it, it's going to be more of a sport weight than a fingering weight. Right now, it's a mix between lace and light fingering. I totally got this idea from Yarn Hoarder. So when Kramer Yarns contacted me and asked me if I was interested in doing a review with their fiber, they asked me to pick out a color and let them know how much I needed of one color. And I'm indecisive. I couldn't decide. I automatically wanted to get that, but what am I going to do with a bunch of pink? I don't know. I guess I could have made a sweater or something, but I couldn't really decide. So they said they had a sample box. So that's what I requested. And this is a box of about 8 ounces of fiber. So what I did, and I showed this on a live video a little bit back, and I totally stole this from the Yarn Hoarder, but she had something similar where she had like a mini back club. She spun them from lightest to darkest so that it was sort of a gradient, and then she applied it with like a natural color fiber. So I did the same thing. I got some of their natural color fiber and I put it to the best of my ability in lightest to darkest. It's still totally going to be like a mismatched But if I am able to spin all of this sport weight and apply it with a natural fiber, I should get about 8 ounces of yarn, which equals, I should get 16 ounces of yarn, because this is 8 ounces on its own. That equals about 4 skeins of yarn. So if I did that, and then I did maybe an extra skein of just natural applied with natural for accent, I could make a totally cool hand spun sweater or cardigan or t-shirt. Sweater, cardigan, or t-shirt out of it. So it took me about 10 or 15 minutes to spin up the first green one. It's like this mint julep color. So I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to move on to the yellow, and I will keep you updated on my progress. I will show you how the yellow looks when it's spun up. Okay, so I added the next 2 or 3, I can't remember the last time I showed this, but I added a couple, so I have 4 colors on here, and I don't know if it's like directly matching like lightest to darkest, but I really like how it's flowing. And also these colors look a lot different spun up than they do in the mini roving. So like this is the next color that I'm going to do, and I don't know if you can tell, but there's like some heathery tones. So when it spins up, those little light tones come out, and it makes the darker ones look a bit lighter. I don't know, I really love it so far. And the fiber prep is pretty amazing. It's basically taking no effort at all to spin these. It just comes right out of it. So, yay! I only added 3 more colors, and I was going to wait to show you until I added a 4th. But then I looked on the floor, and part of my light orange that I did earlier fell off. So I'm going to do this out of order, and then go into that like that grello colorway, and then blue, then red, and then green. Yep, I'm excited about the spin. It's going by really quickly. This is spinning up really fast. I know I keep saying that, but I'm really surprised, because normally it takes me a long time just to get to this point, and I think it's because with braids and bats, there's a lot of fiber prep, but with this, they're just already prepped out for you. So it's already just one big long string of roving, so you spin directly from it. So I think I'm actually going to get the whole box done tonight. I'm sad I put it off for so long. I think this is like the 3rd time I paused to show this row, but I'm really surprised at how well these colors match together, because when they're in the box like this, they really don't look like they would go together. But when they're spun up like this, I'm really digging the color palette, especially from like there up. So I wanted to show this to you because that blue is about to get covered up with my next color. But before I do, I wanted to show it to you again. This is about 100 grams. This is about 100 grams spun up, so half the box. So this would equal a full skein of fingering weight yarn if it was a single. So, yay. Alright, so I've put another 3 colors on the bobbin, and I still have about 7 to go, and they're taking me longer and longer, and the sections are getting bigger and bigger, and so I started weighing them. And if you order the sample box, they give you 20 10-gram rovings, and I started weighing mine about halfway through, and they started out at 12 grams, and now they're going into about 15 grams. So it's actually going to be more than 200 grams of yarn when I'm done. So I'm excited to weigh it and see what the total weight is, since some of these are overweight. But yeah.
For a private prison, it's intriguing. So the reward we want for our risk is to cut of the Riverdale pie. How's 25?
Well, it took me about 7 hours, but I'm finally done, and I got about 200 grams spun up. I know it's more than that because I started weighing halfway through, and my little things of roving were weighing more than 10 grams, and there were 20 colors. So I'm gonna let it rest on the bobbin tonight. Normally I would let it rest for at least 24 hours just to set the twist on the bobbin. before I would put it on a nitty knotty to skein it up, but I'm gonna let it rest overnight and then I will skein it in the morning so that I can show. There's a few overspun areas, but those will even out when I put them on the nitty knotty and soak it, and some of the fiber relaxes. But when I do that, I will be able to show all the different colors on the nitty knotty, to give you an idea of everything that they have available. And next week sometime, hopefully next week, I will be spinning the natural fiber that I bought to ply it with, and then hopefully be plying it. This is the most fiber I've ever had on one of these bobbins. They're not a standard bobbin. One of these bobbins is equal to 4 2-ounce bobbins. I would actually go so far as to say 6 of the 2-ounce bobbins. This can hold a lot of fiber. And this is just the standard size. I actually have a jumbo bobbin that is like at least 2, if not 3 times this size. So it's actually so big that I can't use this same setup. I actually have to remove this from my wheel and put the jumbo flyer on, not just the jumbo bobbin. So once I do that, once I spin up the natural and I'm ready to ply the two together, I will have to use my jumbo bobbin, because it is going to be one ginormous skein and it will not fit on this bobbin, even though it's huge. I lied. I was done and I had my husband put my wheel over there, and then I found this. So I missed one, so I need to spin this and then it'll be done. Okay, so now it's finally finished. Officially. Out of order, but who cares? It's still gonna be really beautiful.